Hey everybody, this is Chris King reporting live from sunny Vancouver. It's a beautiful Friday afternoon. I'm here on the seawall by Science World. I was just at a protest slash die-in at City Hall where we had about 100 cyclists lying down on the road in front of City Hall to protest some of the recent decisions from City Hall. First of all, they are adding more car lanes to Beach Avenue in the West End, which is a huge step backwards. There is no reason to have more cars in the West End. And they're also canceling and or postponing a huge waterfront plan for all of English Bay and all of that stretch of the seawall. Not only was that plan going to increase the cycling and accessibility options to get to that area, but it also had major component to handle the rising sea levels and the erosion, which is something that is absolutely going to happen. We fucked that up pretty good now globally, so we can't really avoid the rising sea levels. And maybe, we could spend the money now in preparation of it happening, or we'll just be spending the money anyway, just rebuilding the seawall every year, every time there's a big storm. So it's kind of unfortunate that they're choosing to be very regressive in that regard. So the protest was mostly about that, but it was also about the cycling deaths that have been happening. There was just a few weeks ago a death at Clark and 10th, which was obviously very unfortunate. There's cycling should be, and it is, the safest way a person can get around, but when you start combining cycling with cars, and especially these giant cars that we're seeing these days, it becomes much less safe, and a lot of people on the road are not respecting the cyclists, and people are dying, and it sucks, and I don't want to be one of them. So there's a few points I thought about during this die-in. The first of all, and this also, let me backtrack for a second. This die-in was sort of organized by Critical Mass, which is a bike protest that happens every last Friday of the month. We leave from the art gallery and we just cycle around in any direction we decide on in the moment. And it's so much fun. And even if you don't really care too much about cycling infrastructure, but you are a cyclist, you should just come anyway, because it's a good time when you get, a few hundred people together who are all cycling and having fun. It's so awesome. And the road is so quiet when there's no cars. It's unbelievable. It's beautiful. So the one thing that both this die-in and Critical Mass in general always highlight to me is the absolute fragility of the road network. One thing goes wrong, whether it's a group of cyclists deciding to just band together, or if there's a crash somewhere, or if there's a stalled car, or if there's construction, it just screws everything up. So, thousands of people are late for work because a car had a flat tire. It's so stupid. Who's never late for work is cyclists. This stretch of the seawall right here is home to all kinds of festivals. During the summer, almost every weekend, there's some kind of festival here. There's the dragon boats, there's Latino festival, all kinds of stuff. And I ride right through it on my way to the studio every single time, and it slows me down maybe by 1 or 2 minutes. And the only reason it would slow me down more than that is I would stop and enjoy the festivities for 5 to 10 minutes, which is not something you can do in a car. If you're driving past the stadium and there's a game on, all you're going to see is more cars, which sucks. So yeah, that's the first thing I like about Critical Mass. The second point I thought of while it was happening, a truck drove by, and he said, "Get off the road," which is the classic, insult. But also, that's the whole point. We're protesting to have more cycling infrastructure so we don't have to be on the road. There is not a single cyclist in the world who wants to be on the road with cars. It's just not what we're into. So when we're on the bike lane and there's cars parked in the bike lane, which is still happening all the time, they're always like, "Oh, who cares? You can just go on the road." And then we go on the road and they say, "Get off the road." So it's so stupid. Just build a place for bikes to go and it's better. And if you build it, they will come. A perfect example of that is Paris in the past 5 years. Only 5 years has built so much cycling infrastructure that there's now more people cycling than they are driving. And we could easily do that in Vancouver. We have the best climate in Canada, and we have such a wonderful start to our cycling infrastructure that all we really need to do is fill up the holes, the gaps. So that's the rebuttal to people yelling, "Get off the road," is like, yeah, I don't ever want to be on the road. And then shortly after that, a big truck came by, a big, jacked up, extra wide tires. I'm pretty sure it was magenta or purple. It was the stupidest truck I've ever seen. Guaranteed I've hauled more cargo on my bike than this truck has ever seen. And he yelled out, "Kill yourself," which is also ironic because the truck that he's driving is statistically the one that's more likely to kill people. Not just cyclists, but also pedestrians and also other drivers. These giant trucks, the hood of this truck, I couldn't tell for sure, but guaranteed it came up past my neck and probably up to my eyeballs. So if this truck were to hit me, there's like such a lower chance of survival. You're just getting crushed and then driven under the truck. A smaller vehicle, you get hit, you end up on the hood. It still sucks, but you have a much higher chance of surviving. So having someone in a vehicle that you couldn't design a vehicle that's more capable of killing people than what this guy was driving, and he said, "Go kill yourself." Kind of stupid. So that was pretty fun. The last thing I would like to note about this die-in is that, so City Hall is fairly close to the hospital, as we all know. So 2 times during the protest, an ambulance came by, and it took the people lying down on the road about 3 seconds to stand up, move their bikes out of the way, and we actually cleared a beautiful path. The ambulance came through. It was the fastest part of the ride for the whole ambulance, for their whole journey, wherever they were going to and from. And then as soon as they left, we put our bikes back in the middle and lied down and died again. We did that twice. The first time it happened so fast, I wasn't even able to get a video of it. So you imagine a road that's 2 lanes filled up with cars and the struggle that the ambulances have to do to get through in 2 lanes of traffic. It's nearly impossible, but when it's, cyclists, they can get out of the way. And they also hear the ambulance better coming. We heard the ambulance coming from like 2 blocks away because our ears are in the air. Cars who are driving, their ears are encased in glass, so they don't hear the ambulance coming right away, and it's harder for them. This argument is especially important when we're talking about building bike lanes in Stanley Park. That was the main argument. One of the arguments I heard is that, we need roads for the ambulance to get in there. And then the very first long weekend, these 2 car lanes are just jammed up with traffic. So if there was a need for an ambulance, it's not getting through anyway. It's going to have to go up on the grass or on the bike lane. So when you build a wide bike lane and a wide pedestrian lane, and it's open and it's multi-use, the ambulances can use that. And the people can get out of the way easier than a car. And also considering all the conflict points are either going to be where the road meets the cycling path or the pedestrian path. It's mostly people getting hit by cars in Stanley Park that are getting injured. Or if they're having, say a heart attack, they're going to be on the pedestrian path anyway. So it makes sense. Build a nice wide pedestrian path. The ambulance can go on it. So anyway, that was my thoughts about critical mass and the die-in today. I'll post a little bit about I did get a video of the second ambulance coming through. You can see how how versatile and resilient the cyclists are. So anyway, I've been thinking a lot about posting other kinds of videos. I want to get a 360 camera and start riding around with my bike to point out the flaws of our current cycling infrastructure and ways it could easily be improved for almost no money. So if you're into that, send me a message. You don't have to like or subscribe unless you really want to. I don't know. All right, rock and roll.